Yo, what up? It's your man, Mr. Dean, aka Cross, and you're listening to the Man Up Club presents on Holy Culture Radio. Hey, channel 140 on XM Radio. Hey, I got a great guest for you today, my man Biig Miic. Say what's up to the people, man.
What's good? Peace. How you doing?
Doing good. Hey, listen, so I know you've been around the Twin Cities for a while, man, and I want to just kind of dig in. So the Man Up Club is basically where we give a voice to young black males across America because a lot of people, unfortunately, be speaking for young black males as opposed to themselves. You hear a lot of people, giving their thoughts and opinions and what have you. But one of the things that we wanted to do with this national show, man, is we wanted to make sure that we heard from young men themselves, and I consider you to be a young man. And so at the Man Up Club, we mentor young men, develop them from boys into young holistic men of character. And I know you're doing same and similar work in the music, on the music side of things, on the mentorship side of things, urban ventures. You've been there for a while. But just kind of tell us, man, a little bit about you, man, your background and kind of how you grew up.
Yeah. My name is like Cross said. My name is Biig Miic, Miic Brooks to my mentees. Um, I'm originally from Chicago.
Okay.
Moved to Minnesota for the first time when I was 6. My dad moved up here. I wanted to be with Pops, so I came on up here to see what Minnesota had to offer. And then off and on, it's been like my second home, right? So like, I go back home to Chicago, come back up here to Minnesota, back and forth like that. And then it got to a point later on in life where my now wife and I reconnected and got me to come up here. And it's funny that I'm on this interview with Man Up because that's exactly what ended up having to happen.
Okay.
So, I was a young guy, young guys make young decisions. And I hit a point in our relationship where I was told by my now wife in no uncertain terms, I need you to make a decision on what it is you want to do. And if you're not serious about us, you can, when you go back home this time to Chicago, you could stay.
Okay.
And then it kind of hit me like right in my face where like
Ultimatum.
no one has ever made me have to make an ultimate like a choice like that. And I felt like I was actually ready. And I came back and I stayed, and we've been married for now almost 10 years. Celebrating our 10-year anniversary this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you, man. And throughout that time, God has just allowed me to do the things that I said I always wanted to do. I claim I'm an audio production graduate of the Art Institute, graduated in 2015.
Nice.
And right in my senior year, I said that I wanted to work with young people in music. I had to have a job or internship in the field. So I had been a scout leader beforehand. So I reached out to one of my mentors, and he's like, there was a place I was trying to get you to go to. When we were doing venture work, you should go check out Urban Ventures to do your internship. So I went, talked to a few people, said the words, all I want to do is work with youth in music. Was told at the beginning, there's no money here, there's no job. Like, you're going to have to just kind of, do work with what we got right now. And that's what I did for like 3 or 4 months. And then after I graduated, they hired me and kind of grew into the role of like, I'm a big brother. I'm the oldest of 11. I'm a father of 7.
Mm.
So I kind of get in where I fit in. If something needs to be said, I'm going to say it. And that led me to being like a artist development teacher. Had this program that's now, about 10 years old. And God has just allowed me to like live out some of my wildest dreams through music. Like, yeah, I know I started off trying to be behind the mic or whatever, but I am Mike, So now I've been able to do just about everything. I've been able to, audio engineer, music mentor. I'm now the station manager for KRSM Radio, DJ, live sound technician, while still all saying what needs to be said to the young people. Whenever I see them in any situation,
Hmm.
you kind of know when you need to speak up. And I know I just said a whole lot, but yeah, you kind of
No,
asked
it's
me.
all good. It's all good. I mean, it's interesting, man, because you living out your dream.
Yep, yep. And I didn't realize that it was gonna look like this. You start off with the dream as a young person of like, I want to do XYZ, and then you set out to do that, and maybe you're in tune with God enough to see when you're actually doing that. But more often than not, you think you didn't make it because it didn't go the way you thought you wanted it to go. But yeah, just recently I took a look back and I'm doing exactly what I said I wanted to do.
It's interesting you say that, man, because I'm doing the same thing. And sometimes you just gotta pinch yourself. And you never know how God is gonna work things out for you to do what it is that you really want to do. But number one, you just have to have true faith. Number one, that He's actually going to get it done. And then when you step into it, a lot of times you don't even know that you done stepped into the walk.
Nope.
And you already walking the walk. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is so dope, and I'm so excited for you in regards to that. One of the things you said, man, that really sparked my interest is you said you moved up here to be with your dad, or you moved up here. Explain that. Break that down for me.
I'm raised by women, right? And I love all my elders and my mom and my aunties and my cousins and grandmas. But I wanted my father,
Mm.
you know, and it hits hard because I got 3 boys of my own, and I know they want their father as well. And even as a older man, I still want my father,
Mm.
right? So like, I was willing to go, and my mom was willing to let me go find out who he really was.
I think that's awesome, man, because some of our stories parallel to some degree, and some of them intersect. But like for me, I didn't know my dad, but I always longed to know my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I picked up on the father thing, because 80% of the young men who are in the Man Up Club are fatherless. And you don't often hear about, young men wanting to go and live with their fathers. You normally hear them wanting to just kind of go visit,
Mm-hmm.
or spend a weekend with their dad, but not actually just kind of like live with their dad, especially if they have a mom that they can live with.
Yeah.
Because most more times than not, most moms are more lenient, than dads, and it may be a little bit more rigid or what have you. But I want you to unpack that for me, man, because one of the things that I really try to emphasize when it comes to the Man Up Club is how important fathers are in the lives of young men. Like I said, with 80% of the guys, 8 out of 10 not having fathers in the home. And this is an urban problem. And so the issue that I have with it is that we've now tried to normalize this in urban culture, whereas as if not having a dad is something to get used to.
Right.
But kind of speak to that, your experience with your dad, and why you had that longing, and when you made that transition, what was it like? What did it do for you?
So I recognized right away, um, he wasn't, and it's not really, I don't blame him, right? But he wasn't ready to be a dad just because he had a kid. But I was determined to make him father me.
Oh, wow.
So like, there were some things, some situations that, me and my mom, um, we're, we might get into it about certain stuff, and she would say, well, I'm going to send you to your dad.
Consequence.
And then I would be like, at first I heard it a different way, but as she said it more, I began to say, okay,
Hmm.
like, let me go.
But isn't it interesting how a lot of women set that up as if that is going to be the negative bad thing in your
Yeah.
life, that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like it was gonna be something bad for me going to see him and visit him. And I think she might have been just trying to protect me from what I learned initially, like he wasn't ready to
Hmm.
be a father.
Yeah.
And what that looks like when you have a child you got to take care of is I might get this wrong 85% of the time because I wasn't ready. But the more we got to know each other, the more we were around each other, the better he became as a father. The more I saw him, trying, it kind of helped me because people would have their own narrative of my dad before I got a chance to get to know him, or your dad is this or your dad is that. But I wanted to find out for myself.
Right.
So that's the real reason why I was determined to just go, And then I got up here, and then he wasn't the best, but he got better,
Hmm.
And now to the point where me standing 7 kids in, 3 boys up, I I feel like I'm a better father because I gave him a chance, you know. And I still have my off and ons in Minnesota, but because I was open to him learning, I'm open to myself learning.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know wasn't gonna get it right away. Just because I had kids doesn't make me a great father. You grow into a great father.
So, what were some of the challenges?
Some of the challenges, he didn't know how to discipline without like force or anger.
Okay.
And it didn't work. It doesn't work all the time. Some kids, you know, that might work with them, but it kind of made me shut down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And he had to find another way to get through to me so that I would listen to him.
Mm.
And that's when my love for music came in, because that's the tying bond, right? He would metaphorically use lyrics and songs to kind of get his point across.
Okay.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
like the way you phrase that.
And then like I started listening to the songs a little bit more, and then he's like, "You see, that's what I have been trying to tell you." He catch me listening to one of his songs, and like now you're starting to hear it for what it is, and that's where the love for music actually started, and I'm kind of able to grow from it from now. I mean, from that to now.
Love it, love it. It's your man, Mr. Dean, on the Man Up Club Presents on Holy Culture Radio, man. We'll be right back with my man, Biig Miic. Yo, it's your man, Mr. Dean, a.k.a. Cross, and we back, and you're listening to the Man Up Club Presents. Hey, I got my man, Miic Brooks, who is the music director over at Urban Ventures here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Hey, man, we talking about your dad. Let's go deeper, because you gave your daddy grace.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you gave him grace, you know, to raise you. Speak on that a little bit.
I felt like it was needed because I don't know that he got grace in the stories that I was told. The stories that I was told, he wasn't painted as a good guy, you know,
Mm-hmm.
which made me kind of skeptical as to how I was supposed to grow into a good guy if my dad wasn't.
You already made the connect.
Yeah, because like for me to be like I am, this ain't all, mama. This is a lot of this is you. I give you a lot of the credit for it, but this can't all be you.
I feel it.
You know, take two people. So, yeah.
And it takes 3 for you to become yourself, because and I'm glad you brought that up, because that's how I put it. Like, it's like, you know your mom, so you know what parts of you come from your mom, and then you know there are things that are authentically are you as an individual.
Mm-hmm.
But for kids who don't have a dad, they're missing that third element. And so to be able to have that, man, I think it helps young people develop so fast, because you're not wondering your entire life, who am I?
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I can speak to. And I was speaking to one of my boys last week about it. It's like, man, when a dad is not in your life, it's just like you can spend a lifetime trying to get some answers as to who you are.
Yeah.
And it can kind of stunt your development or your growth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you mean, because you bump your head a lot trying to figure out who you are when you could just ask this person who helped create you if you have access to them, right? Bumping your head could look like, you know, maybe you joined a gang because you were looking for some kind of brotherhood or leadership, and somebody on the block showed it to you more than you had ever seen. Now you gravitated toward this person, but they live in a lifestyle that's not really productive, but they treat you good,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it has a way of jading you into believing like, oh, well, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
And until I had the opportunity to kind of like sit down and talk with Pops about a lot of this stuff, I bumped my head a lot. But that's also why I could talk to young people now. Like I was just talking earlier when I got here about the importance of like, in order for me to be able to get through to some of these young people, I had to be a little bit vulnerable and tell them like, I'm not just telling you I know how you feel or
Mm-hmm.
I understand
Mm-hmm.
to like pass a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, I literally know.
Mm-hmm.
I understand exactly what it is you're talking to me about when you talk about, you know, what the block is like and, you know, things that are trying to tear you down. Like, I definitely understand.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's only because of what God allowed me to go through to kind of help. I guess it was always meant to help somebody else younger, I guess.
Yeah. And that's huge, man, because at the Man Up Club, that's definitely what we do. And I think that that's what makes great leaders. I think that's what makes great mentors is to having a degree of transparency. Um, for example, I never wanted to be a pastor, man. I felt like I was called to preach and be a pastor, but I kind of ran away from that calling because I never saw pastors be vulnerable or transparent, and I always felt like they allowed people
Mm.
to put them on a certain pedestal to the point where they live their life flawless. And I'm like, oh well, there ain't no way I can do that, so I don't even want no part of it.
Mm.
And I probably missed a lot of my calling in that regard. Of course, it's not too late because everything works in God's timing, and I feel like to some degree I'm still pastoring. It's just a different kind of church, and it's
Yep.
just young men, and it's more it's based on a faith-based organization with biblical principles with the Man Up Club and really helping them from a practical standpoint in life. But I just think about that, man. I think it's important and it's imperative for us to be transparent and actually let young people know exactly what we've been through and where we come from. Like even when I get speakers and guests to come and speak to Man Up Men, um, I already know they're successful. So I don't want them to lead with that. I
Mm.
always want them to lead with, what was your struggles, man? What did you overcome? What did you have to deal with? How when you what was it that made you feel like you were a failure at some point? And the reason I do that is because living in the urban context, man, there's so many different type of social forces and extenuating circumstances that lead young people down the wrong path and making bad decisions and what have you. But it's to the point where they feel like they failed and suffer from a degree of hopelessness. And so if you're growing up in that environment and you live in that environment, then what it takes to truly motivate you and sustain you is you have to be able to relate to other people's failures to know that you can get up and overcome and make it happen for
Mm-hmm.
yourself.
Mm-hmm.
How you feel?
I feel like it's important to make sure that they all know. So I show up with this sweatshirt on, and they ask me, "So, what is that? What do you do?" And I tell them, I'm the station manager for KRSM, and they're like, "Wow!" But then I got to tell you that I was a volunteer DJ for 3.5 years before I became the station manager for KRSM Radio.
Mhm.
Volunteer DJ means I have to love this because I'm not getting paid to DJ, but I'm getting paid as a station manager. So you see me now, but what you don't see is all the work it took for me to get to where I am right now. A good example is like I went to school for audio, right? So I've gotten to the point where I could be in a session with a young person and it takes me, you know, 5 minutes to set the whole session up, get everything kind of going, music and everything set, and now you can go in the booth and I'll record you, and then you come back in and it's going to take me another, 30 minutes to 45 minutes to give you a decent rough mix,
Mhm.
and then boom, you done.
Mhm.
And then you're impressed by the speed at which, like, man, he's so fast.
Yeah,
But what you don't understand is that, like, it took me like years
for sure.
to get to this speed that you see.
Yeah.
So like people that would come in, like clients and youth would be around me and clients would come in and then they would like they see them pay me or whatever for something. And then it's a reminder that like, you're not paying me for the 15 to 20 minutes it took me to do this. You're paying me for the years that it took me to be good enough to do this in 15 minutes.
Right. I love that.
And then when I say that to them, they're like, oh, I'm like, so yeah, put the work in now so you could become good at your craft so that you can get it done fast, without having to.
And what they need to understand is that they are investing in their future, like volunteering. Like, young people look at volunteering as kind of like slave labor, and I don't know why they look at it through that pair of glasses. But it's like, no, man, you investing in your future, and we parallel a lot because I outside of Man Up Club, I also own a Christian hip hop record label,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm always when I'm talking to artists, I'm like, man, look, you got to invest in yourself first if you want somebody else to invest in you, because it's important, because you need to demonstrate that you actually believe in yourself.
Right.
You have like, for me, that okay. My mom always told me everybody ain't got common sense. Okay,
There you go.
so let's rock with that.
There you go. Yeah.
Because to me, that's common sense. Like but that's just the way I was raised. That's just in my DNA. Like I would never ask anybody to do something for me that I have not already started doing for myself. Now, I may not be able to take it to the level in which I'm asking somebody else to come alongside me, but I'm going to get on the grind and I'm going to be about that. You feel me?
Yep.
And I think that that's one thing that is just really, that's a discipline that's really been lost, in our urban culture where kids just feel like, they have this sense of entitlement. Of I don't need to put in the work. I want you to give it to me, or because I deserve it. But it's like, what have you done? What is the time that you put in to deserve that?
That's why I move the way I move, because I recognize that like the real secret sauce is gonna be just set a good example. Set a good example. Move the way you would want them to move, because you could tell them, but a lot of times if they see it, it'll stick a little bit more. So like, how consistently does Mike show up on his A game, right? How consistently does Mike do X, Y, Z? How does he move? How much integrity does he have? Like these are the examples that I'm trying. I'm not perfect, but I know how to move with purpose.
Right, and that's what it is, moving with purpose.
Yeah, like I recognize you might be looking at me do this, so why not try to do it the best way I can, so that when it gets presented to you, you're like, oh, I seen this done. I know how to do this. I can do this too.
Yeah.
Versus it being like, I've never seen anybody do this. Marriage for 10 years of my life, right? I bless my dad. Him and my mom I don't know how long they was married. Home ownership. My wife and I own our home. Like we pay a mortgage or whatever, but I don't have these examples. Like there was nobody who showed me, this is what you do when you get a home. This is what you do when you, like, I'm figuring out as I go, but also recognizing that people are watching. Young people are watching. My kids, the young kids that I work with, they're all watching. So even though you don't know, don't be ashamed to say you don't know, but act like you know better and try to do a little bit better.
Right. And it's interesting you bring that up, man, because I've been married for 25.
See? That's big bro right there.
You feel me? And the thing is, it's like, if you got 25 in, you know something. You know something. You feel me? You know something about relationships. You know something about building. You know something about failure. You know something about stress. You know something about success. And the list goes on and on. You know something about family, and all of that. And I think that, for those who are married, I mean, I think that's the blueprint, man, right there for setting up yourself for a good life if you're marrying a good partner. But like even with me, man, I feel you on the same thing. Like I didn't have that model either, because actually when I think about it, a lot of the men who were in my family, they married but they divorced. And when you talk about buying a home, me and my wife, we bought our home, but I just did not have these examples. Unfortunately, a lot of the examples that our kids get in the streets, man, is how to smoke a blunt.
Yep. How to shoot a gun.
Right. That sort of thing. How to dress, attractive or whatever. How to perform. You feel me? And how to have sex. All of these kind of things. But they ain't even teaching how to have sex. They just kind of picking it up as they go.
Right.
When I talk to the young men about sex, that's a whole nother conversation, because it's like I ask them one question, bro, who taught you about sex? Who taught you how to have sex? That's crickets.
That's crickets.
It's your boy, Mr. D, man, on the Man Up Club Presents, and I'm here with my man, Biig Miic, man. We just chopping it up about fatherhood and growing up being a young black male in America. We'll be right back. Yo, it's your man, Mr. D, and you're listening to the Man Up Club Presents on Holy Culture Radio. Hey, we based out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, Twin Cities. Hey, listen, if you want to support our program, feel free to tap into our website at themanupclub.org. Once again, that's themanupclub.org, or follow us on IG at themanupclub.mn. Hey, listen, we got a lot of programs for young people. We just got our new facility downtown Minneapolis where we have a multiplicity of programs. We have a music production program, recording studio, commercial kitchen for culinary arts, as well as a paid construction program for young men and young women, and a fitness program. I can go on and on about all the programs that we have, including tutoring program and how we give out free suits and things like that. But feel free to go on our website, man, and tap in and check us out. We'd love to have your support. I'm in the studio with my man, Biig Miic, Miic Brooks, and we just chopping it up, man, just kind of breaking it down on what it's like to, grow up with a father as well as to not grow up with a father. And this is a big issue that we have in America, and it's a major issue that we have in urban America because a lot of young men, roughly about 80%, don't have fathers that are, living in their home or what have you. And I think that that's a major problem, and we've gotten to the point where we've almost normalized not having a father. Mike, you talked about, how you gave your father grace, and one of the things that you said that I love is you said, I made him parent me. One of the things that you don't know and why this resonates with me is because when I was a young man, actually 20 years old, I became a single father. And I unfortunately became a single father through tragedy. However, I knew the importance of embracing fatherhood because I never wanted to pass along what I experienced.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my dad, man, he was a pastor, had his PhD, had his doctorate degree, had a church, traveled, was an author, or what have you. So I had a lot of questions about, who am I and what am I supposed to be doing and this, that, and the other, but I never could get those answered. And so for me, thank God that I, at some point, came across a couple of great mentors.
That's it.
That I entrusted, to give me advice. And I think that that's one of the things that young people are missing. Number one is the ability to trust people. And the thing is, man, like Scripture says, the tree is known by the fruit it bears. So, when you're looking for a mentor or someone to speak into your life, the main thing that you need to do is you need to look at their fruit. Look at what's surrounding them. Look at see if it's rotten fruit, or see if it's blossoming, man. And I had two men. One of them was named Mr. Kalish, and Mr. Kalish, man, he was an academic man, and he just he was different from me. He's a white man, and he wasn't rich. All of his kids went to Ivy League colleges, though. That's fruit, bro.
Yes.
And it was different for me because they didn't watch television. In my house, boy, we watching marathon TV. But it was the ability to be able to pivot and change based on what you saw that was good for you. And so then, so he got me to a certain point, changed my life in high school, and I went to college on academic scholarship, thanks to Mr. Kalish. Shout out to him.
Dope.
But then when I got to college, I got another mentor, and he was black. And he was the dean of the business school, and he just passed away, God rest his soul. But Frank McKinney, man, he mentored me and just kind of took my life to the next level as far as professionalism. That's one of the reasons why I ended up in Minnesota, because I consulted with him as to whether I should stay at the University of Louisville or whether I should come to Minnesota. And the advice that he gave me as a young man who was a single father, he says, hey, man, if you stay here, there's not going to be a lot of economic opportunity for you. He's like, whereas, if you go to Minnesota, you got a lot of Fortune 500 companies there, you got professional sports there. And so when I say professional sports, I'm just talking about revenue generating, wealth and things like that as far as economy. And so that was one of the things that really influenced, me to come to Minnesota. But at the same time, now that I think about it, both of these mentors were married.
There you go.
Long term.
There you go.
And they modeled that for me, man.
Wow. There you go. See, and that's usually when it happens. Like, it happens later in life where you recognize you might have thought you weren't seeing an example.
Mm-hmm.
It just probably wasn't where you were expecting to see it at. Like, and now that you think about it a little bit, you recognize like you did see it, but you weren't looking for that from that person. So you weren't able to appreciate it until after being in it for a little while. And you're like, you know what? I actually did see that example when I was a little younger. For me, there's one particular mentor that sticks out in my head. So the real reason I went to college is because I'm an artist that got tired of people telling me to wait.
Okay.
I got tired of like wanting to record, and because I was younger, no one taking me seriously. and then I was told to wait. Like, hold on, I'll get you in the studio. Like if somebody else was gonna help me get in the studio, and then I would get in the studio, and then like I'm in a session with someone else's session, and I want to get on the mic, and they're like, wait. And then I get my own session, and then I record my song, and then I finish the song, and then they're like, wait, I want to leave with my music, something I can play.
For sure.
And they're like, I'll get it to you. So after so many times of like being told to just wait and wait and wait and wait, I went to school for it. And as an artist, the mentor that sticks out to me the most is the one that taught me if I wanted something that I had to go and get it.
Mm-hmm.
His name was Mo. Mo is still alive. I don't know where Mo actually ended up coming up here because I'm from Chicago. So we met in Chicago, but he actually ended up moving up here a little later in life. Now, I'm not even sure where he lives at now, and there's a moment that sticks out in my head where like, I'm afraid to try something, but I trust you, right? So if you say this is what we're doing today, because it's you, I'm willing to try it.
Yeah.
So we're downtown Chicago. We're shooting a video, and this is no permit, guerrilla style. We're shooting this video downtown.
Yeah.
And he's like, you see that little bridge right there? That little, it's like a wall that went around a little statue. He's like, I want you to go up there on top of that wall, and I'm gonna record. You're just gonna do your song one time, and I'm just gonna record. And I was like, are you sure? He's like, trust me, just go. So I'm like, okay. I go up there, we record the take. I feel more brave afterwards. Okay, cool. So then he's like, now we're gonna go, because in Chicago there's a subway. Like so now we're gonna go walk this tunnel, and while we're in the tunnel, I'm gonna record. You're gonna do the song again. People are walking past me and everything.
Yeah.
He's like, you're just gonna record. And I'm like, okay, but at this point, I've already done the other thing. So he's like, go, just go. And we record, walk the tunnel. It's about, 150 feet. At the end of the tunnel, people are like jumping in the video, like saying what's up.
Right.
And like, it was an incredible experience that I'll never ever forget in my entire life. But we didn't have a permit. And at the end of the tunnel, the police were coming down the stairs.
Yeah.
Right as they were coming down the stairs, he shut the camera off, and we went upstairs. And then he's like, you trust the process, you're going to get great results.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I watched the video, to see it happen, I was like, who is that? Like, I wasn't even watching myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who is this brave young soul that's like walking through this tunnel, rapping his whole song? Because right afterwards, I was terrified, right?
Right.
But he gave me enough courage to be able to try stuff. And now whenever something is I'm going into a new adventure, never tried before, I get Mo in my head saying, if you want it, you're going to have to go get it. It might not be a conventional way that you get it, but if you really want it, you're going to have to go get it. After a while, it became like, I deserve what I want.
Brave young soul.
Yes,
I love
sir.
it. I love it. And that, because I'm on the same thing. You got to be able to be brave to go after your dreams and just kind of take chances and like they say, with no risk, no reward. And you also said wait. You got tired of waiting.
Yeah.
Everybody telling you to wait.
Yeah.
But you got to understand that they're telling the brave young soul to wait. You feel?
Right.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was the same way because, I'm a pioneer of Christian hip hop music, and I started at a time when it wasn't really popular, and so I got tired of people telling me,
Yeah.
wait. It's like, man, no, I know what my skill set is. You know what I'm saying? And I know the platforms that I need to be on and this, that, and the other. But everybody's saying, wait, I'm like, I want to be signed. This,
Right.
that, and the other. I want to do this for a living, kind of like you were saying what you want to do in music for a living. But so for me, that door kept getting closed. But if you a brave young soul, and this is for any young men out there, if you know that you a brave young soul and people constantly telling you no, and doors are constantly closing, that ain't no reason to quit.
Mm-mm.
That ain't no reason to give up, because I didn't quit. You didn't quit. So what I did was I started my own record label because of trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know the music business when I started, but I got told no so much to the point where I learned the music business.
Yeah.
You feel me? And so you fast forward to today, because you never know what God's plans are, but you fast forward today, I have a nonprofit organization where I'm mentoring young men, as well as a record label with the production studio inside the nonprofit.
Right,
so
right.
It operates from a dual perspective. But had I took those no's and shut down, neither one of us will be working to save the lives of young people today in urban culture, man.
Exactly.
We're going to jump right back into it, man. It's your man, Mr. Dean. It's an interesting conversation, and it's all about motivation, empowerment, and uplifting the culture, man. We'll be right back with the Man Up Club Presents. Yo, what up? It's your man, Mr. Dean, a.k.a. Cross. You're listening to the Man Up Club Presents on Holy Culture Radio. Yo, and I'm back with my man, Biig Miic, Miic Brooks. Man, you just proposed a great observation, and I want you to say that again, as far as how do young people recognize when they got a mentor, just somebody that's kind of like abstract or random in their life?
Yep. I think it's tricky. I think I have a different viewpoint as a mentor, because I recognize it's a long game, right? Like, a lot of times, even though you might show up as an ally to help, to enhance young lives or any life, they might not see you as an ally, because maybe they've had a lot of people tell them no, like we were just talking about.
Right.
Maybe they've had a bunch of people tell them they won't be able to blah 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 or anything like that. Maybe they just had a lot of opposition, and you appear to look like one of the ops, as they call us.
For sure. For sure.
As they call us, right? But you kind of gotta be prepared, and this is on both sides. On the mentee side, be prepared to see how long this person sticks with you. Because a lot of times as a mentor, we hit resistance right away. And if you're not in it for the right reasons, you might not push as hard for this young person. But if you see something in them, you're supposed to push a little bit, stay longer. And as a mentee, recognize who didn't quit on you. Maybe you already have a person that's been in your life this whole time, telling you positive stuff, even though you live in a negative world and you might spit out some negativity back to them, but they keep hitting you with positivity over and over and over and over and over again. That person is auditioning to be a mentor in your life without you realizing it. And it might even be a family member. Mentors aren't always strangers. People are thinking like it has to be some random obscure person that came along and now you're my mentor, versus it might have been like a cousin or like, a relative or anything like a family friend, anything like that. It's a long game though. So the people who stick and stay, those are the ones that are trying to do you the best justice. And that goes on both sides. As a mentor, it could take me years to get through to you. But as a mentor, we sign up to do life with y'all. So like, I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. I'm going to help you as you need me to help you. I'm going to sit in this corner like it's a boxing match. I'm going to be in your corner. I'm your cut guy. You feel me? And when you get cut, if you want to repair that, you come talk to me. We can figure it out. But I'm not just going to throw a bunch at you. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to be here because I signed up to do life with you as a mentor.
Yeah. And that's when you use the word ops, that's a big word as far as cultural relevance, man. And the thing is, I have to add to that, because the thing is, ops, as far as your opposition, is not just a person who tells you no, which is critical, or who just tells you what you want to hear. Because a true mentor is going to challenge you in so many ways.
Yeah.
And a lot of times your mentor, a true one anyway, is going to tell you no.
Yep.
No, you can't do that. Or no, don't do that like that.
Yes.
Do it this way. Or what have you. And so we live in a culture now, man, where, young people, they just don't want to be corrected. And they automatically equate being corrected with an op.
Yeah.
And it's just like, wait a minute, time out. Understand the true value of a mentor, because, Man, I just think that when you have great mentors, you can get where you're going much further, much
Much
faster.
faster.
You feel me? And the thing is, like you said, it can be long term, and more times than not, it is long term. It kind of reminds me of the difference between evangelism and discipleship.
Come on now.
Evangelism, let's be clear about this, because evangelism is like, that's short term. That's the introduction. That's introducing you, to God, to the kingdom, to this good news way of life. It's calling you in. It's attractive, but discipleship, on the other hand, that's a life walk.
That's a life walk.
You feel me? And it's like, when you fall, it's not that you're not gonna fall down. It's just that you fall down, but you get up. And it's not even that you necessarily get up immediately, but we got to get up
Yes.
at some point and keep on moving. You feel me? And so great mentors are the ones who have already been through it. I tell young men all the time, I'm like, man, you have no idea how much of a asset and how much of a blessing it is for somebody who is, number one, willing to invest their time in you so that you don't duplicate or replicate
Yes.
some of the same pitfalls that they went through. Why? And I've heard young people say, well, I want to go through it myself. I need to have my own experience. Like, man, that's the silliest thing that I've ever heard. Like, man, that's a myth.
And they
That-
still and they actually do end up going. You still will go through it,
You go regardless.
but it ain't. You don't got to go through it by yourself.
Exactly. But it's just like, okay, if I want to go from here to Chicago, and, I run through some trials and tribulations of, turning the wrong way or going the wrong way, catching a flat, whatever, air conditioning breaking, all these obstacles and things. It's like, bro, you don't have to go
You don't
through
have
that
to
necessarily
do
to get
that.
there.
You don't
know
have
what I'm saying?
to do
I had to
that.
get there in the Pinto. I had to. I could
Yeah.
only push my speed thermometer to 60, bro. Let me show you how to get there in Bentley style.
Yep.
You still
Literally.
going you feel me?
Mhm.
Because if I do that, you're going to enjoy the ride. Your ride is going to be much more pleasurable.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you still getting to your destination, but you getting there more in style
Yeah.
with a mentor.
Yeah. And even I love that analogy, because even like I had to work hard to open this door for myself. So when I get through it, I'm gonna leave it open for you, but I'm not gonna leave it all the way open for you. Like
Yeah.
if I had to find the key, twist the lock, pull the door, I'll leave it unlocked. So you still gotta pull the door.
Right.
So you'll still get the strength that you need, but you don't have to look for the key because I just gave it to you.
That's real. I mean, I feel you. 100% real. So, Mike, you've been on the path, man, and like I said, we both are living out our dreams. We got similar paths. We go way back
Yep.
anyway. But the work that you're doing over at Urban Ventures with the music production, let's talk about that for these last few minutes in regards to music and what all it involves. Like, music to me, and I'm gonna just keep it a buck with you, man. Hip hop music right now, to me, bro, as far as the messaging, is just trash.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like,
Yeah.
here's my thing: if you're living in poverty and you're struggling, and you seeing people get murdered, you seeing people live on welfare, you seeing people come from a single parent home, you seeing trash in the neighborhood, you seeing people gang banging, and you seeing pimps, hustlers, and prostitutes in the whole nine. You see the city ain't putting no money into that particular community or what have you. You see that the schools are not the best, and all just this urban what we got in urban culture across America and the hardships that we face. I struggle with why urban culture oftentimes perpetuates in music that same struggle.
Mhm.
And that's all we rap about. And what they've always said to me, this is what the comeback is. The comeback is, oh, bro, I'm just talking about my situation and my circumstance. I'm just talking about my reality. I'm just talking about real life. And I feel that to some degree.
Yep.
But at the same time, and this is a question for you, and then you can elaborate, but aren't we perpetuating the same trauma from an audio perspective?
Yes.
it's just like somebody just constantly cussing you out every day and telling you ain't gonna be nothing, but you already know the situation that you in. So if you just constantly got that message coming at you, how do we come up as a culture with that?
And that, so shout out to UV. I've been there for almost 10 years, under a contract right now where I get to still be the audio engineer in the studio and run my program the same way that I did always. But that's where I get to do the real work, right? Like you mentioned where somebody has to be told no or don't do it like this. So like, and you also mentioned I'm just talking about my life. And then as a mentor, I get a chance to be like, okay, but there's more to it than just that.
Absolutely.
There's more to it than just the part that you chose to talk about, especially because somebody else is already talking about that exact same thing. Why not be original and address it from a different standpoint? Or hit them with like, you're going to want your music to be played everywhere. Why curse? Why not? Or if you have to, why not record like they used to do back in the day? Why not record 2 versions? Why not record an edited version that can play anywhere? Why take the me telling you that you should keep it clean as like a hindrance instead of a challenge and an opportunity? Like why not use it to fuel? So like I realized in that position that I'm in, it's like I can directly affect those young minds that are in the studio trying to make this kind of music. And I always tell them like I'm not here to change you, right? I'm just here to give you some game so that you could change on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Because the story that you're telling has already been told. Is somebody else's? Is this really all you see in your neighborhood?
Right.
Or is there more?
Exactly.
And I'm guessing that there's probably more you could talk about, a different angle you could take on the same exact topic that you probably should try. And when you challenge them like that and you put it to them in a way that actually makes sense, then it sticks a little bit. And then they can kind of keep going forward. But it's about a consistent message after that. Like I'm going to tell you again, the next song you make, do the same thing.
And I'm going to piggyback off that, man, and take it a step further, because even though you may live in those circumstances and now you producing music that kind of perpetuates the same behavior to keep you down, let's be real, though. At the end of the day, you got to go home.
Yep.
And you got to lay down in your own bed by yourself. And when you lay down in your bed by yourself, or even when you just spend time with yourself, you not glorifying that.
Nah.
You asking you either praying to God, or and if you ain't a Christian, you hoping and wishing.
Mm-hmm. You still want God to help.
That your situation is gonna change. You feel me? And so, but that's the part that we hide. That's the part that our young people in the culture hide.
Yeah, because it's like, not cool.
Right? Yeah, that ain't cool. So I'm gonna say what's cool and what people gravitating to. But even though I'm saying it, when I get by myself and I get hit with real life, it's like, but you ain't gonna you don't want to talk about that part.
No,
you don't want to talk about the part where you just like, yo, God, I really need your help, and I want my situation to change, and I really don't want to be here like this.
And that's what's needed.
Right.
So if you're coming up and you're wondering what should your next song be about, we want humanized music.
There it is.
Right? Like we've seen the blueprint that's out there. We've seen all of the blueprints. We want more human. Like we want to know how you feeling. Like no, for real, how you feeling.
Right.
Like not on the surface level, but like deep. Like I love this conversation because like deeply I feel good now after having this conversation.
You feel
with
me?
you. Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah, man.
Well, we definitely went deep, man. I mean, like it's real, man. I commend you on the work that you're doing. I love the fact that you're consistent and steadfast in it, man. And I started out over there at Urban Ventures, man,
Yep.
and eventually, God gave me my own organization and what have you, man. But shout out to Art Erickson,
Yep.
over there, founder of Urban Ventures. Art used to be my mentor.
Mm-hmm.
For a very long time. But yeah, man, it's just, God is good, man. I got my boy Miic Brooks here, music director over at Urban Ventures. So listen, if you're ever
Station manager, KRSM Radio.
there it is. And if you're ever in the Twin Cities, man, go pay him a visit over at Urban Ventures and come pay us a visit at the Man Up Club. We right downtown Minneapolis, 1018 North 5th Street, man. Tap into us. But it's been a blessed time talking with you, man. And just keep doing what you're doing, man.
Yes, sir. I understand the assignment. I understand. I will keep going.
It's your man, Mr. Dean, a.k.a. Cross. You're listening to the Man Up Club presents on Holy Culture. Tap in with us every Thursday night at 8 Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, channel 140. Let's go.